9 attitudes that make people lose respect for you. Wisdom for living. Stoicism. The respect of others is the gift we give ourselves. Anonymous. Have you ever felt a shift in the way people perceive you, and you can't quite put your finger on why? In today's video on Stoic in Your Life, we're diving deep into a topic that affects us all. The 9 attitudes that can cause people to lose respect for you, often without you even realizing it. From the subtle art of showing up on time to the crucial act of honoring your commitments, we'll unravel how these seemingly small habits can significantly impact your social standing and self-image. And stay tuned, because towards the end, I'll reveal a powerful Stoic insight that could transform how others see you, and more importantly, how you see yourself. But first, if you're gaining wisdom from these videos, make sure to subscribe and hit the bell icon to stay updated with all our new content. Now, I want you to focus closely on the following story, as it holds the key to understanding the core lesson of today's video. Picture ancient Greece, a time of great thinkers and profound philosophies. Diogenes, a philosopher infamous for his unconventional lifestyle, living in a barrel and scorning societal norms, found himself face to face with Alexander the Great. When the mighty conqueror asked what he could do for him, Diogenes replied with a simple but profound request. "Yes, step aside a bit. You're blocking my sun." This story isn't just about defiance, it's about understanding your value and knowing how to command respect without even trying. Let's explore how you can embody this wisdom today. Attitude number 1. Excessive arrogance. The first attitude on our list of how to lose respect faster than a speeding bullet is excessive arrogance. We've all met someone who behaves as if the entire universe revolves around them. Arrogance is like an unwanted guest at a party who insists on being the center of attention, overshadowing everyone else. It's the person who always has to outdo your story with a more extravagant one, the one who walks into a room and expects everyone to bow in their presence. But why is arrogance so universally repulsive? Imagine you're at a gathering and someone bursts in loudly proclaiming, "The life of the party has arrived." Almost instinctively, everyone rolls their eyes as if on cue. Arrogance is precisely this kind of behavior but woven into the fabric of everyday life. Yet it's crucial to differentiate between confidence and arrogance. Confidence is a magnet. It draws people in, much like a pleasant fragrance. Arrogance, on the other hand, is the equivalent of drowning yourself in that perfume, so overwhelming that it pushes people away. According to a study by the University of Akron and the University of Michigan, arrogance doesn't just wreak havoc on personal relationships, it can also sabotage professional success. Arrogant individuals often overestimate their capabilities while dismissing the contributions and skills of others. It's akin to assuming you can win a marathon without any preparation just because you once sprinted to catch a bus. This overconfidence often leads to poor judgment, missteps, and ultimately, failure. Picture an arrogant chef who refuses to taste his dishes before serving them, convinced of his infallibility. The result? Meals that taste more like an overcooked ego than a gourmet delight. Arrogance blinds you to your own shortcomings and prevents you from seeing the value in others, leading to decisions that are as tasteless as that chef's untasted dishes. But how can you tell if you're sliding down the slippery slope of arrogance? Here are some telltale signs. You believe you're always right, even when confronted with undeniable facts. You constantly interrupt others because, of course, your words are more valuable. You think rules apply to everyone but you because you're somehow exceptional. Or you consider basic courtesies like saying thank you or apologizing as signs of weakness. If any of these hit close to home, don't worry. Arrogance isn't a permanent stain. The antidote to arrogance is humility, a core tenet of Stoic philosophy. Humility is not about self-deprecation or thinking less of yourself. Rather, it is about recognizing your own strengths and weaknesses and understanding that everyone has something valuable to contribute. It's about being open to learning from others, even from that seemingly inexperienced coworker or the neighbor who never quite seems to have it all together. Marcus Aurelius, a revered Stoic philosopher, once said, "Be tolerant with others and strict with yourself." This means holding yourself to high standards while being gracious and open-minded towards others. Practicing humility is like working out for your character. It may feel awkward at first, but it builds resilience and makes you more approachable and respected in the long run. So the next time you feel the urge to boast about your accomplishments or dismiss someone else's opinions, take a step back and reflect. True greatness does not need to be broadcasted. It speaks for itself through actions. As the great Stoic Epictetus once remarked, "It is impossible for a man to learn what he thinks he already knows." Embracing this mindset opens the door to continuous growth and deeper connections with others. In modern life, where self-promotion often seems to be the norm and social media amplifies every achievement to a distorted level, it's easy to fall into the trap of arrogance. But remember, respect isn't earned by shouting the loudest or by standing on a pedestal built on self-aggrandizement. It is earned by showing genuine interest in others, by listening more than you speak, and by lifting others up rather than tearing them down. If you aspire to be someone others look up to, focus on letting your deeds speak louder than your words. Be the person who is always willing to listen, learn, and lend a helping hand. This is the foundation of lasting respect and the true path to success, both personally and professionally. As C.S. Lewis wisely noted, humility is not thinking less of yourself, it's thinking of yourself less. In the end, humility not only garners respect, but also enriches our lives with deeper, more meaningful relationships. So choose humility over arrogance, and watch as your world transforms for the better. Attitude number 2, chronic negativity. Let's talk about the second attitude on our list that can make people lose respect for you faster than a storm clears a sunny sky: chronic negativity. We've all encountered someone who, no matter the situation, always sees the glass as half empty. It's the person who walks into a room and seems to drain the energy out of it with a constant stream of complaints and criticisms. Chronic negativity is like a dark cloud that follows a person everywhere they go, casting a shadow over everything and everyone around them. But why is this attitude so damaging? It's not just that it brings others down. It's that it reflects a mindset that can block personal growth and alienate those who might otherwise offer support and companionship. Think about the people you admire and respect. Are they the ones who are always finding fault? Or are they the ones who, despite challenges, maintain a hopeful outlook and a positive demeanor? Chronic negativity is not just a social buzzkill. It can actually alter the way your brain functions. Neuroscience tells us that the brain has a negativity bias, a tendency to focus more on negative experiences than positive ones, as a survival mechanism. But when we allow negativity to dominate our thoughts, it can become a habit, an automatic way of seeing the world that can be incredibly hard to break. This is where Stoicism comes in with a powerful remedy. The Stoics believe that we have control over our reactions, even if we don't have control over the events that happen to us. Marcus Aurelius, one of the most famous Stoic philosophers, wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Instead of letting negativity cloud our judgment, we can choose to focus on what we can control: our thoughts, our actions, and our attitudes. Let's relate this to modern life. Picture this. You're at work, and a colleague continuously complains about every single task they're given, about the boss, about the temperature in the office, even about the coffee in the break room. At first, you might feel sympathy or even try to console them, but after a while, their negativity becomes exhausting. It starts to affect your mood, your performance, and your overall experience at work. You find yourself dreading conversations with them and eventually start to avoid them altogether. Now consider if this colleague, instead of complaining, focused on finding solutions, or at least accepting the things they couldn't change with a more positive or neutral attitude. How different would your perception of them be? Would you not respect them more for their resilience and their ability to focus on what they can control rather than what they cannot? Negativity doesn't just affect the way others see you, it affects the way you see yourself. It limits your potential because it narrows your perspective to see only obstacles rather than opportunities. It's like walking through life with blinders on, unable to see the full spectrum of possibilities that are available to you. Chronic negativity is a self-fulfilling prophecy. If you constantly expect things to go wrong, you'll often miss out on the moments when things go right. This is why it's important to cultivate a mindset that is open to positive experiences, one that can see challenges as opportunities for growth, rather than as insurmountable problems. The Stoics teach us to reframe our thoughts and focus on what truly matters. Seneca once said, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." How often have you found yourself worrying about something that never came to pass or stressing over a problem that wasn't as bad as you thought it would be? So, how do we overcome this chronic negativity? Start by being mindful of your thoughts. When you catch yourself falling into a pattern of negative thinking, pause and ask yourself, is this thought helping me? Or is it holding me back? What can I learn from this situation? How can I turn this obstacle into an opportunity? By asking these questions, you begin to shift your mindset from one of negativity to one of growth and possibility. It's not about ignoring the difficulties in life or pretending everything is perfect. Rather, it's about acknowledging the challenges while choosing to focus on the constructive path forward. This shift in perspective can make a world of difference, not just in how others perceive you, but in how you perceive yourself. At the end of the day, people are drawn to those who lift them up, not those who pull them down. If you want to earn respect and build meaningful connections, focus on cultivating a positive outlook. Be the person who sees the good in others, who finds solutions instead of just pointing out problems, and who approaches life with a sense of curiosity and openness, rather than cynicism and negativity. In doing so, you'll not only transform your own life, but you'll inspire those around you to do the same. The lesson here is simple. Adopt a positive attitude, and watch how your relationships, your career, and your inner peace all begin to flourish. And remember, as Epictetus advised, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. Choose to react with optimism, with hope, and with a spirit of resilience, and you will find that respect is something you no longer have to chase. It will come to you naturally. Attitude number 3, lack of empathy. Let's explore the third attitude that can make people lose respect for you faster than you might think. A lack of empathy. Empathy is the ability to understand and share the feelings of another, to put yourself in someone else's shoes, and truly feel what they are going through. It is one of the most fundamental human qualities that fosters trust, connection, and mutual respect. But when someone lacks empathy, it can create a disconnect that is difficult to bridge. Think about it. How do you feel when someone disregards your feelings or dismisses your experiences as unimportant? You likely feel unheard, misunderstood, and perhaps even insulted. This lack of empathy can quickly erode respect, not just from the person who feels slighted, but from others who witness this behavior as well. Why is empathy so critical, and what happens when it is missing? When you fail to show empathy, it sends a message that you are more concerned with your own needs and perspectives than with those of others. This self-centeredness can make others feel undervalued and disrespected, leading them to question your intentions and sincerity. The absence of empathy is like a barrier that prevents meaningful connections from forming. Without empathy, conversations become one-sided, relationships feel transactional, and trust becomes fragile. Imagine a scenario where a friend comes to you, seeking comfort after a tough day, and instead of listening, you brush them off or change the subject to talk about yourself. How would that friend feel? Would they trust you with their feelings again? Likely not. As the Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius once said, "If someone is able to show me that what I think or do is not right, I will happily change, for I seek the truth, by which no one was ever truly harmed." This quote emphasizes the importance of being open to understanding others' perspectives, an essential component of empathy. In today's fast-paced world, it's easy to become so consumed by our own challenges and distractions that we forget to consider the feelings and needs of those around us. We might rush through conversations, not really listening, or fail to notice when someone is in distress because we are too focused on our own concerns. But empathy requires us to slow down, to really see and hear the people around us, to recognize their struggles, and to respond with kindness and compassion. Have you ever found yourself in a situation where you felt someone wasn't listening to you? How did that make you feel? And conversely, how did you feel when someone showed genuine concern and took the time to understand your feelings? Those moments of empathy are what build strong, lasting bonds between people. They are what make us feel valued and respected. A lack of empathy doesn't just damage personal relationships. It can also have serious implications in professional settings. In the workplace, leaders who fail to empathize with their employees often face higher turnover rates, lower morale, and decreased productivity. Employees want to feel that their concerns are heard and their well-being is valued. A leader who lacks empathy may be perceived as indifferent or even cruel, which can create a toxic work environment. On the other hand, empathetic leaders who take the time to understand their team's challenges and provide support foster loyalty, creativity, and engagement. Consider this. If you were choosing a mentor or a leader to follow, would you prefer someone who is cold and indifferent, or someone who is compassionate and understanding? The answer seems obvious. Empathy makes us better leaders, better colleagues, and ultimately better human beings. But how do we cultivate empathy in a world that often seems to prioritize self-interest and competition? It starts with active listening. Truly listening to someone means not just hearing their words, but also understanding the emotions behind them. It means asking open-ended questions to encourage them to share more and being fully present in the moment without distractions. Instead of thinking about how you will respond or what you want to say next, focus on what the other person is saying and feeling. You might ask, "How did that experience make you feel?" Or, "What can I do to help?" These questions not only show that you care, but also open the door to deeper, more meaningful conversations. Another way to build empathy is to practice putting yourself in others' shoes. Think about how you would feel if you were in their situation. What challenges would you face? What kind of support would you need? By imagining yourself in their position, you can better understand their emotions and offer more genuine support. Seneca, another great Stoic philosopher, reminded us, "Wherever there is a human being, there is an opportunity for kindness." This quote encourages us to recognize every interaction as a chance to practice empathy and kindness, no matter how small or seemingly insignificant. In a broader sense, empathy helps us see beyond our own experiences and understand the diverse perspectives that make up our world. It enables us to connect with people from different backgrounds, cultures, and walks of life, fostering a sense of community and shared humanity. Without empathy, we are limited to our own narrow perspective, unable to appreciate the richness and complexity of human experience. This limitation can lead to misunderstandings, prejudice, and conflict. But when we approach others with empathy, we open ourselves up to learning and growth, to seeing the world through new eyes, and to building bridges rather than walls. So how can you practice empathy in your daily life? Start by being more aware of your interactions with others. Are you truly listening, or are you merely waiting for your turn to speak? Are you acknowledging others' feelings, or are you dismissing them as unimportant? Are you willing to step outside of your comfort zone to understand someone else's experience, or do you remain locked in your own perspective? Reflecting on these questions can help you become more empathetic and, in turn, more respected by those around you. The lesson here is clear. Empathy is not just a nice-to-have quality. It's essential for building trust, respect, and meaningful relationships. By developing your capacity for empathy, you can improve your interactions with others, create a more positive environment, and cultivate a deeper sense of connection and understanding. Remember, as the Stoics taught us, it's not enough to simply live for ourselves. We must also consider the impact of our actions on those around us. And in doing so, we not only gain the respect of others but also enrich our own lives with greater fulfillment and purpose. So, ask yourself today, how can I be more empathetic? How can I show up for others in a way that makes them feel truly seen and heard? In answering these questions, you take the first step towards becoming a person who not only commands respect, but also inspires it. Attitude number 4, inconsistency. Ever wonder why some people lose respect so quickly while others seem to naturally command it? One of the key attitudes that can erode respect faster than you might realize is inconsistency. Being inconsistent is like promising a steady light in a storm but flickering out just when people need you the most. Let's explore how this attitude can impact your relationships, career, and even your own self-respect, and learn how adopting a Stoic mindset can help you become someone others can truly rely on. Attitude number 4, on our list that makes people lose respect, is inconsistency. Inconsistency is when your words and actions don't align, when you say one thing but do another, or when your principles seem to change depending on the situation or the people around you. It's that friend who promises to be there for you, but when the time comes, they're nowhere to be found. Or that colleague who pledges to take on a task, only to drop the ball when it really counts. Being inconsistent sends a message that you are unreliable, that your commitments are flexible based on convenience, and that your word can't be trusted. When people can't predict your actions or trust your promises, they start to distance themselves. Why? Because inconsistency breeds uncertainty, and uncertainty is a breeding ground for doubt, mistrust, and ultimately, a loss of respect. Consider this. How often have you felt let down by someone who didn't follow through on their word? Did you feel like trusting them again? Probably not. To understand why inconsistency is so damaging, let's take a look at its impact in various aspects of life. In personal relationships, inconsistency can feel like emotional whiplash. One moment, you're present and supportive. The next, you're distant or unresponsive. This back and forth creates a sense of instability that can make others feel insecure and undervalued. It's like trying to build a bridge with missing planks. Eventually, it will collapse under pressure. In professional settings, inconsistency can be even more detrimental. Imagine a leader who frequently changes their mind, leaving their team confused and directionless. How can a team move forward when the goalposts keep shifting? How can they trust their leader's vision when it seems to change with the wind? Marcus Aurelius, a Stoic philosopher and a Roman emperor, once said, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be one." This quote is a powerful reminder that our actions should align with our values, and that being true to our word is a cornerstone of earning respect. In modern life, consistency is more important than ever. In a world where everyone is trying to sell you something or convince you of something, being consistent in your values and actions stands out. It shows that you are grounded, reliable, and authentic. People are more likely to follow and respect those who are clear about their principles and stick to them, even when it's difficult or inconvenient. For instance, if you value honesty, but are caught lying to get out of a tough situation, people will see that you are not truly committed to your values. This kind of inconsistency can damage your credibility in ways that are hard to repair. As the famous saying goes, trust takes years to build, seconds to break, and forever to repair. But how can we cultivate consistency in a world full of distractions, temptations, and pressures that can easily sway us? The answer lies in self-awareness and commitment. Start by being clear about your values. What do you stand for? What are the principles that guide your decisions and actions? Once you have a clear understanding of your core values, commit to them. Make a conscious effort to ensure that your actions reflect these values, even when it's challenging. This requires mindfulness and a willingness to be honest with yourself. Are you acting in alignment with your principles, or are you letting external factors dictate your behavior? Epictetus, another Stoic philosopher, teaches us, first say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do. This means being intentional about your choices and ensuring that they reflect your true self, not just who you think others want you to be. Consistency also involves being dependable. If you say you're going to do something, do it. If you make a promise, keep it. If you commit to a relationship, be present and engaged. It's about showing up in the same way, time after time, regardless of the circumstances. This doesn't mean being rigid or inflexible. Rather, it means being reliable and true to your word. In a world that is constantly changing, being a consistent force provides comfort and stability to those around you. It's a beacon of reliability in a sea of uncertainty. Think about it. Aren't you more likely to respect and trust someone who is steady and dependable over someone who is erratic and unpredictable? At the core of consistency is integrity. It's about being honest with yourself and others, about being the same person in private that you are in public. Integrity means not just talking the talk, but walking the walk, living in such a way that your actions mirror your words. When you live with integrity, you build trust, and trust is the foundation of respect. People are drawn to those who are authentic, who are the same in all settings, and who don't change their principles based on convenience or audience. As the Stoics would remind us, it's about aligning your outer actions with your inner values, creating harmony between who you are and what you do. So, what can you do to become more consistent in your life and thus gain the respect of those around you? Start by reflecting on your past actions and commitments. Are there areas where you have been inconsistent? How did those inconsistencies affect your relationships and reputation? Use these reflections as a guide for future behavior. Set clear goals for yourself, both in terms of personal development and in your relationships with others. And remember, consistency doesn't mean perfection. It means being aware of your actions, holding yourself accountable, and striving to be a reliable and steady presence in the lives of those around you. As you work on being more consistent, you will find that people start to trust you more, rely on you more, and ultimately, respect you more. If you want to build and maintain respect, whether in your personal life or professional career, you must strive to be consistent. This means aligning your actions with your words, committing to your values, and being a dependable force in the lives of others. Remember the words of Confucius. The superior man is modest in his speech, but exceeds in his actions. Let your actions speak louder than your words. Let your consistency shine through in all that you do, and you will find that respect is something you no longer have to chase. It will come to you naturally. Thank you for joining us in this video. Which of these 4 attitudes do you think is most challenging to overcome, and have you ever experienced any of these behaviors affecting your relationships or respect in your life? We'd love to hear your thoughts. If you're not sure how to comment, you could share an experience where you noticed one of these attitudes either in yourself or someone else, and how it impacted the situation. Let's continue the conversation in the comments below. Attitude number 5. Lack of integrity. Let's dive into the 5th attitude on our list that can cause people to lose respect for you almost instantly. A lack of integrity. Integrity is the foundation upon which trust is built. It's about being honest, having strong moral principles, and consistently aligning your actions with your words. When you lack integrity, you become like a house built on shaky ground. At the first sign of trouble, everything crumbles. Think about it. How often have you encountered someone who says one thing but does another? Someone who promises to keep a secret but then shares it with others, or who claims to value honesty but is quick to lie when it suits them. When you see these actions, does it make you want to confide in or trust that person again? Probably not. That's because a lack of integrity creates a breach of trust that's difficult, if not impossible, to repair. Now, let's talk about what happens when integrity is missing in everyday life. Have you ever been in a situation where you felt betrayed by someone you thought you could trust? Perhaps a friend who promised to support you in a tough time but disappeared when you needed them most. or a coworker who took credit for your work after vowing they wouldn't. Such moments can leave you feeling hurt, frustrated, and, most importantly, disillusioned. It's like putting your faith in a bridge, only to have it collapse when you're halfway across. When people lack integrity, their words become empty promises, their commitments flimsy, and their presence unreliable. And once trust is broken, respect quickly follows. In the professional world, a lack of integrity can have even more severe consequences. Leaders who fail to uphold their values or who act unethically undermine their own authority and diminish their ability to lead effectively. For instance, consider a manager who publicly promotes fairness and transparency, but is found to be engaging in favoritism or unethical practices. The result? A team that feels demotivated, distrustful, and less willing to give their best effort. Employees look up to leaders not just for direction, but for moral guidance, and when they perceive a lack of integrity, they lose respect and, ultimately, their willingness to follow. As the philosopher Socrates famously said, "The greatest way to live with honor in this world is to be what we pretend to be." This quote underscores the importance of living authentically and with integrity, rather than merely putting on a facade. But how do we ensure we live with integrity in a world that often seems to reward cutting corners or taking the easy way out? It starts with being honest with yourself. Are your actions aligning with your words? Are you standing by your principles even when no one is watching? Remember, integrity is not about being perfect. It's about being consistent in your values and actions. When you make a mistake, and we all do, having integrity means owning up to it, apologizing, and making amends. It's about doing the right thing, even when it's hard or inconvenient. Reflect on your actions. When was the last time you chose the easy path over the right one? How did that decision impact your relationship with others, or how you view yourself? Did it build trust, or did it slowly chip away at the respect others might have had for you? Integrity also involves being transparent and open in your dealings with others. If you promise something, deliver it. If circumstances change and you can't fulfill your promise, communicate that honestly and proactively. People are often more understanding than we give them credit for. What they cannot stand, however, is deceit or half-truths. In every interaction, aim to be straightforward and clear. If you have an agenda, state it openly. If you make a mistake, admit it without trying to cover it up or shift the blame. This kind of honesty not only builds respect but also fosters an environment where others feel safe to be open and honest themselves. Think about a time in your life when someone showed remarkable integrity, even when it wasn't to their advantage. Maybe it was a boss who took responsibility for a mistake that wasn't entirely their fault, or a friend who stood by you when everyone else turned away. How did that make you feel? Respect, admiration, and a deeper sense of trust likely grew out of those moments. That's the power of integrity. It creates a solid foundation for all relationships, personal or professional. And it's not just about grand gestures. Sometimes it's the small, consistent actions that make the biggest difference. Saying what you mean, meaning what you say, and following through on your commitments. These are the hallmarks of a person who lives with integrity. Living with integrity also means being aware of the impact of your actions on others. Are you building people up, or are you tearing them down? Are you contributing positively to your community, workplace, or family, or are you only looking out for yourself? Marcus Aurelius, another great Stoic philosopher, reminds us, waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one. This is a call to action to embody the values you preach, to be a living example of the principles you hold dear. People are always watching, especially in leadership roles, and the best way to lead is by example. So, how can you cultivate a life of integrity starting today? Begin by setting clear personal standards and holding yourself accountable to them. Reflect on your daily actions and decisions, asking yourself whether they align with your core values. When faced with difficult choices, take a moment to consider the long-term impact of your decisions, not just on yourself but on those around you. And most importantly, be consistent. Consistency in your actions builds trust over time, proving to others that you are reliable, dependable, and worthy of their respect. If you want to earn and keep the respect of those around you, living with integrity is not just an option, it's a necessity. It's about being truthful, transparent, and unwavering in your principles, no matter the circumstances. As the famous saying goes, character is what you do when no one is watching. Strive to be the person of character in all aspects of your life, and you will not only command respect, but also live a life that is fulfilling and true to your highest ideals. Ask yourself today, are my actions aligned with my values? Am I living with integrity in all that I do? By answering these questions honestly and taking steps to align your actions with your words, you set the foundation for a life of honor, respect, and true success. Attitude number 6, lack of responsibility. Let's talk about the 6th attitude that can lead people to lose respect for you more quickly than you might imagine, a lack of responsibility. Taking responsibility is about owning up to your actions, accepting the consequences of your decisions, and not shifting blame onto others when things go wrong. It's the difference between saying, "I made a mistake and I'll fix it," and pointing fingers at everyone else to escape accountability. When you lack responsibility, you become like a ship without a rudder, drifting aimlessly and blaming the wind for your direction. How often have you encountered someone who never seems to own up to their faults, who is always ready with an excuse or a scapegoat? This behavior not only frustrates those around them, but also erodes any respect or trust they might have had. Why does this happen? Because people value reliability and accountability. They want to know that when the chips are down, they can count on you to stand up, take charge, and make things right. A lack of responsibility is damaging in all areas of life. Think about your personal relationships for a moment. Have you ever had a friend or partner who, when faced with a problem, always blames external circumstances or other people? How did that make you feel? Did it inspire trust or confidence? Or did it leave you feeling let down and perhaps even resentful? When someone fails to take responsibility, it creates a sense of instability and unreliability in the relationship. You start to wonder if they'll ever own up to their mistakes, or if they will always find a way to dodge the bullet. Imagine a scenario where a friend borrows your car, damages it, and instead of admitting their fault, they claim it was the road's fault or the weather's. How would that make you feel? Would you trust them with your car again? Probably not. This lack of responsibility creates a gap between their words and their actions, leading to a loss of respect. Now let's apply this to the workplace. In a professional setting, a lack of responsibility can be even more detrimental. Imagine a team member who consistently fails to deliver on their promises and then blames others for their shortcomings. How would this impact team morale? Would you feel confident relying on this person for crucial tasks? A person who doesn't take responsibility not only drags down their own reputation, but also affects the team's dynamics and overall productivity. Marcus Aurelius, a Stoic philosopher and Roman emperor, emphasized the importance of personal responsibility in his teachings. Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one. This quote serves as a powerful reminder that action, not just words, defines character. Taking responsibility for your actions even when it's difficult is a crucial aspect of building respect and trust. In today's world, where information is easily accessible and accountability is more transparent than ever, being responsible is a crucial trait that can set you apart. Yet, we often see people ducking responsibility, using excuses to cover up their mistakes, or pointing fingers at others to deflect blame. This behavior not only diminishes your credibility, but also your ability to lead, influence, and build meaningful connections. Ask yourself, when was the last time you saw a leader who never took responsibility inspire genuine loyalty or admiration from their followers? Most likely, never. True leadership, both in personal and professional settings, requires the courage to stand by your decisions, own your mistakes, and learn from them. As the saying goes, With great power comes great responsibility. This isn't just about superheroes. It's about everyday choices and actions that define who we are. But how do you cultivate a sense of responsibility in your life? It starts with self-awareness and honesty. Take a moment to reflect on your recent actions and decisions. Have there been instances where you blamed others for something that was your fault? How did that impact your relationships or your work environment? Recognizing these moments is the first step towards change. The Stoics believed that self-examination is key to personal growth. Epictetus, another prominent Stoic philosopher, once said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." This quote reminds us that while we may not control every event in our lives, we are entirely responsible for how we respond to them. Instead of deflecting blame, we should focus on how we can take constructive actions to remedy the situation. Another way to build a sense of responsibility is to actively seek feedback from those around you and genuinely consider their perspectives. Ask open-ended questions like, "How can I improve?" or "What could I have done differently in that situation?" These questions not only show a willingness to learn and grow, but also demonstrate humility and a commitment to accountability. People respect those who are open to feedback, who are willing to admit when they're wrong, and who make consistent efforts to improve. This approach can also transform your mindset from one of blame shifting to problem solving. Instead of asking, "Who caused this problem?" consider asking, "How can I help fix this?" This shift not only enhances your ability to take responsibility, but also positions you as a proactive, solution-oriented individual. In a broader sense, taking responsibility means recognizing the impact of your actions on others and understanding that your choices, big or small, contribute to the kind of world we all live in. Are you adding value, or are you detracting from it? Are you building up those around you, or are you dragging them down with your refusal to take ownership? Seneca, a Stoic philosopher, offers timeless advice when he said, "He who is brave is free." This freedom comes from the courage to face oneself honestly, to accept one's flaws, and to take steps towards betterment. When you take responsibility for your actions, you not only free yourself from the weight of excuses, but also empower those around you to do the same. Ultimately, the lesson here is clear. To earn and maintain respect, you must be willing to take responsibility for your actions. This means being accountable not just when things go right, but especially when things go wrong. It means being the kind of person who others can rely on, who doesn't shy away from difficult conversations or decisions, and who consistently strives to align their actions with their values. Ask yourself, are there areas in my life where I could be taking more responsibility? What steps can I take today to become more accountable and trustworthy? By answering these questions honestly and making a commitment to embrace responsibility, you take a significant step towards becoming a person who commands respect, inspires others, and lives a life of integrity and purpose. Attitude number 7, time-wasting frustration. Have you ever noticed how some people seem to waste time and energy on frustration, while others move forward with grace and purpose? Now, we're diving into attitude number 7 on our list of behaviors that make people lose respect for you. Time-wasting frustration. This is more than just feeling momentarily annoyed. It's about those who allow frustration to consume them, paralyze their actions, and ultimately hinder their progress. Understanding this attitude can be the key to turning wasted moments into opportunities for growth and success. Let's explore how this behavior impacts our lives and how a Stoic approach can help us manage our frustrations more effectively. Attitude number 7 that causes people to lose respect for you is time-wasting frustration. Frustration in itself isn't the issue. We all feel frustrated from time to time. It's a natural human emotion, a signal that something isn't going as planned or that we're facing an obstacle. However, the problem arises when we allow frustration to linger, to take root, and to become a constant companion. It's like sitting in a parked car with the engine running. You're burning fuel but not going anywhere. When you waste time in frustration, you're not just losing minutes or hours, you're losing opportunities. Opportunities to learn, to adapt, and to grow. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher, wisely advised, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This quote emphasizes that while we may not control every situation, we do have control over how we respond to it. Allowing frustration to dictate our actions is a choice, and it's a choice that often leads to stagnation and a loss of respect from others. Think about how this plays out in daily life. Have you ever seen someone become so caught up in their frustration over a minor inconvenience that they derail an entire meeting or ruin a pleasant dinner? How did that make you feel? Likely, it made you uncomfortable, maybe even a little annoyed. When people let frustration dominate their behavior, it creates a negative atmosphere that affects everyone around them. It's like a ripple effect. What starts as a small pebble of frustration can quickly turn into waves of negativity that spread far and wide. Now consider a different scenario, a colleague or friend who faces the same inconvenience, but instead of getting frustrated, they stay calm, assess the situation, and take constructive steps to address it. Which person would you respect more? The one who loses control and wastes time in frustration, or the one who keeps their cool and focuses on solutions? The answer is clear. The latter not only maintains their own peace of mind, but also earns the respect and admiration of those around them. In a professional setting, the impact of time-wasting frustration can be even more significant. Imagine a leader who becomes visibly frustrated every time a project hits a snag. This leader might start blaming their team, complaining about resources, or simply throwing up their hands in exasperation. How does this affect the team's morale? How does it influence the team's perception of their leader's ability to handle stress and guide them through challenges? A leader who succumbs to frustration sets a tone of defeat and despair, making it harder for the team to stay motivated and focused. On the other hand, a leader who remains composed, acknowledges the frustration, but doesn't let it derail the team's efforts, inspires confidence and resilience. This kind of leadership is grounded in the Stoic principle of focusing on what we can control and letting go of what we cannot. Seneca, another prominent Stoic philosopher, once said, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more, that is poor." In this context, it's not about having fewer frustrations, but about craving a different reality instead of working constructively within the one you have. So why do some people allow frustration to waste their time while others seem to navigate challenges with grace? It often comes down to mindset and emotional regulation. When you focus on the things that frustrate you, you amplify them in your mind, making them seem larger and more insurmountable than they really are. It's like looking at a small crack through a magnifying glass. It suddenly appears to be a chasm. But when you shift your focus to solutions, to what you can do rather than what you cannot, you begin to see possibilities instead of problems. You take control of your emotions instead of letting them control you. This shift in perspective is at the heart of Stoic philosophy. As Epictetus, a former slave-turned-Stoic teacher, taught, "Men are disturbed not by things but by the views which they take of them." By changing your view of frustration from a paralyzing force to a signal for action, you transform how you experience and respond to life's inevitable challenges. Now, how can we apply this wisdom in modern life to ensure we're not wasting time in frustration? Start by practicing mindfulness and self-awareness. When you feel frustration rising, pause and ask yourself, what am I truly frustrated about? Is this something within my control? If it is, what steps can I take to address it? If it isn't, how can I let it go? These questions shift your focus from frustration to action. Instead of being caught in a loop of annoyance and irritation, you break free and move forward. For instance, consider the everyday frustration of being stuck in traffic. You could sit there, fuming about the wasted time, or you could use that time to listen to an educational podcast, practice deep breathing, or even plan your day. By changing how you respond to the situation, you turn a frustrating experience into a productive one. Another way to manage frustration is to develop a problem-solving mindset. When faced with a challenge, instead of fixating on what's going wrong, focus on what could go right. Ask yourself open-ended questions like, what are my options here? Or, how can I turn this situation around? These questions not only help you find solutions, but also empower you to take charge of your circumstances. People who adopt this approach tend to be more resilient and adaptable, qualities that are highly respected in both personal and professional settings. They're the ones who are seen as reliable, as steady under pressure, and as capable of turning obstacles into opportunities. Ultimately, the lesson here is simple. If you want to maintain and earn respect, you must learn to manage your frustration constructively. Don't let it waste your time or energy. Instead, use it as a catalyst for positive change. By controlling your response to frustration, you not only improve your own experience but also set a positive example for others. Remember, as the Stoics would say, the true measure of a person is not how they act when things are going well, but how they respond when things are not. Ask yourself today, how do I handle frustration? Am I allowing it to waste my time, or am I using it to fuel my growth? By answering these questions honestly and making a conscious effort to manage frustration more effectively, you can transform a negative habit into a positive force for good in your life. If you've made it this far, you're truly on a path to self-improvement. Drop a comment saying, "I choose respect," to show you're committed to adopting these positive attitudes in your life. Stay tuned, because more wisdom for living is just around the corner. Attitude number 8. The inability to listen. Let's discuss the 8th attitude that can cause people to lose respect for you faster than you might think: the inability to listen. Listening is more than just hearing words. It's about understanding, connecting, and showing that you value what others have to say. When you fail to listen, you communicate to those around you that their thoughts and feelings don't matter, which can be incredibly disrespectful and alienating. Think about the last time you were in a conversation where the other person wasn't really listening to you. Maybe they were distracted, looking at their phone, or interrupting you to make their point. How did that make you feel? Probably frustrated, undervalued, or even invisible. When you don't listen, you close the door on communication, and without communication, there's no understanding, no empathy, and certainly no respect. Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic philosopher and Roman emperor, emphasized, "It is impossible for a man to learn what he thinks he already knows." This quote reminds us of the importance of approaching every conversation with an open mind, ready to learn rather than to merely confirm our own biases. In today's fast-paced world, the inability to listen has become an all-too-common problem. We live in an age of constant distractions, where multitasking is celebrated and quiet focus is rare. Yet the ability to truly listen is more valuable than ever. Have you ever been at a dinner party where one person dominates the conversation, cutting others off, and always steering the talk back to themselves? How did the others react? They probably felt less inclined to share, less engaged, and more disconnected. This is the danger of not listening. It creates a barrier between you and others, making it harder for them to connect with you on a meaningful level. It can be particularly damaging in personal relationships, where trust and mutual respect are key. If you don't listen to your partner, friend, or family member over time, they may feel that their voice doesn't matter, leading to frustration, resentment, and a breakdown in the relationship. Consider this in a professional context. How does the inability to listen affect leadership and teamwork? Imagine a manager who never takes the time to hear their team's concerns or feedback. This manager might make decisions based on incomplete information, miss out on valuable insights, or alienate their team members, leading to low morale and high turnover. When leaders fail to listen, they lose the respect of their team, as people want to feel heard and understood, especially when it comes to their ideas and contributions. On the flip side, leaders who make it a point to listen, who seek to understand before being understood, are often seen as more approachable, more trustworthy, and more effective. As the famous American author and motivational speaker Stephen R. Covey said, "Most people do not listen with the intent to understand. They listen with the intent to reply. This quote underscores a critical point. True listening requires putting aside our own agenda and focusing fully on the speaker. But why is it so hard for some of us to listen? Part of the challenge is that we often confuse listening with waiting for our turn to speak. We're so eager to share our thoughts, experiences, or opinions that we forget to fully engage with what the other person is saying. This is where practicing active listening comes in. Active listening involves paying full attention to the speaker, showing empathy, and responding thoughtfully. It's about making eye contact, nodding, asking follow-up questions, and paraphrasing what was said to ensure understanding. This kind of listening not only makes the speaker feel valued, but also enriches your own understanding. Ask yourself, when was the last time you truly listened to someone without any distractions or preconceived judgments? How did that experience feel compared to a more superficial, distracted conversation? Another reason people struggle with listening is fear. Fear of what they might hear, fear of disagreement, or fear of appearing less knowledgeable. But avoiding listening doesn't protect us from these fears. It only isolates us from the potential to learn, grow, and connect on a deeper level. The Stoics believed in the power of self-control and inner strength, and part of that is the courage to listen to others, even when it's uncomfortable. Epictetus, a Stoic philosopher, once said, "We have 2 ears and 1 mouth so that we can listen twice as much as we speak." This simple yet profound observation reminds us of the natural balance we should strive for in communication, listening more than we talk. In modern life, listening can transform the way we interact with others, both personally and professionally. It can help resolve conflicts by showing empathy and understanding, build stronger relationships by fostering trust and respect, and even open up opportunities by making others feel heard and appreciated. Imagine you're in a business negotiation. If you're focused only on getting your points across without considering the other party's perspective, you're likely to miss key information that could lead to a more favorable outcome for both sides. However, if you listen attentively, you not only show respect, but also gain valuable insights that can be used to find common ground. This approach is more likely to result in a successful negotiation and a long-term partnership. So, how can you become a better listener and earn the respect of those around you? Start by making a conscious effort to be present in every conversation. Put away distractions like your phone or laptop and focus fully on the speaker. Show that you are engaged by nodding, maintaining eye contact, and responding with thoughtful questions or comments. Practice empathy by trying to understand the speaker's feelings and perspectives, even if you don't agree with them. And most importantly, be patient. Resist the urge to interrupt or rush the conversation. Give others the time and space to express themselves fully. As you develop these habits, you'll find that people are more willing to open up to you, to share their thoughts and feelings, and to respect you more as a result. The lesson here is clear. If you want to build meaningful relationships both personally and professionally, you need to develop the ability to listen. This doesn't mean just hearing words, but truly understanding and valuing what others have to say. Remember, listening is a skill that can be learned and honed with practice. As you improve your listening skills, you'll not only gain deeper insights into others, but also foster a more positive and respectful environment around you. Ask yourself today, am I really listening? Or am I just waiting for my turn to speak? By being honest with yourself and committing to becoming a better listener, you open the door to more meaningful connections and greater respect from those around you. Attitude number 9, lack of authenticity. Let's delve into the last attitude that can cause people to lose respect for you almost instantly, a lack of authenticity. Authenticity is about being genuine, being true to who you are, and aligning your words with your actions. When you lack authenticity, people see right through it, sensing that there's a gap between who you present yourself to be and who you really are. This disconnection can create feelings of mistrust, skepticism, and even resentment. Think about it. Have you ever interacted with someone who seemed to be wearing a mask, saying what they thought you wanted to hear, rather than what they truly believed? How did that make you feel? Likely it made you question their sincerity, perhaps even their character. When people don't show their true selves, they lose the respect of those around them because authenticity is the bedrock of trust and meaningful relationships. As the Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius once said, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." This powerful quote urges us to live our lives with integrity and truth, to be consistent in our actions and words, and to embody the principles we preach. In today's world, the importance of authenticity cannot be overstated. We live in an age where superficiality and facade can often dominate, especially in the era of social media, where it's easy to curate a perfect image that may not reflect reality. But people crave real connections. They want to know the real you, not the polished version you think they want to see. When you are not authentic, it sends a message that you are more concerned with appearance than substance, that you are playing a role rather than being your true self. This can be exhausting not just for those around you, but also for yourself, as maintaining a facade requires constant effort and vigilance. Moreover, when you are not authentic, it can lead to a lack of fulfillment in your own life because you are not living true to your values or your identity. Ask yourself, are you living in a way that is true to who you are, or are you constantly trying to fit into someone else's mold? The consequences of a lack of authenticity are far-reaching. In personal relationships, people might start to distance themselves from you if they feel you are not being genuine. They might question your motives, wonder about your real intentions, and ultimately, withdraw their trust and affection. This can leave you feeling isolated, misunderstood, and disconnected from those you care about. In a professional context, the stakes can be even higher. A lack of authenticity can severely damage your credibility and reputation. Imagine a leader who says they value transparency and honesty, but is caught manipulating facts or withholding crucial information. What happens to their credibility? How does the team feel about following a leader who doesn't practice what they preach? Authenticity is essential for building trust and fostering a culture of openness and collaboration. Without it, teams become disjointed, communication breaks down, and respect erodes. Why do so many people struggle with being authentic? Often it's rooted in fear of rejection, fear of not being good enough, fear of judgment. But as Epictetus, another renowned Stoic philosopher, said, "First say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do." This means acknowledging your true self, embracing your strengths and weaknesses, and being willing to show the world who you really are. It takes courage to be authentic, especially in a world that often rewards conformity and superficial charm. But the rewards of being true to yourself are immense. When you are authentic, you attract genuine relationships, build deeper connections, and inspire others to do the same. People are drawn to those who are real, who are consistent, and who don't pretend to be something they're not. Authenticity breeds respect because it shows a commitment to living honestly and openly, without deception or pretense. Consider a story from modern life. Think of a public figure or celebrity who was caught in a scandal for not being who they claimed to be. Perhaps they were found to be dishonest about their background, qualifications, or personal life. Initially, they may have enjoyed fame, but once the truth came out, their reputation took a serious hit. Their fans felt betrayed, their endorsements were pulled, and they faced a backlash that could have been avoided if they had been truthful from the start. This example shows how a lack of authenticity can lead to a downfall, not just in the public eye, but in any sphere of life. People respect those who are consistent and true, even if it means admitting flaws or mistakes. They don't respect those who are found to be wearing a mask, pretending to be someone they're not. So, how can you cultivate authenticity in your life? Start by understanding and embracing who you are, your values, your passions, your strengths, and yes, your weaknesses. Be honest with yourself about your motivations and actions. Are you doing something because it's truly what you want or because it's what you think others expect of you? Reflect on this and make a conscious effort to align your actions with your true self. Practice openness in your communication. Share your thoughts and feelings honestly, even if it makes you feel vulnerable. Remember, authenticity is not about being perfect, it's about being real. People respect those who are honest about their imperfections because it shows courage and humility. As Oscar Wilde once said, "Be yourself. Everyone else is already taken." This quote encourages us to embrace our uniqueness and to live authentically, rather than trying to conform to someone else's idea of who we should be. Furthermore, being authentic requires consistency. It means being the same person in all settings, not changing your persona based on who you are with or what you think they want to hear. Consistency builds trust because people know what to expect from you. If you're always putting on a different mask, people will eventually see through it and lose respect for you. Authenticity also involves admitting when you are wrong or when you don't know something. It's okay to not have all the answers, and it's okay to make mistakes. What matters is how you handle those moments. Do you admit to them and learn from them, or do you try to cover them up to protect your image? Authentic people own their mistakes and use them as opportunities for growth. The lesson here is simple but profound. To earn and maintain respect, you must be authentic. You must be willing to show your true self, to live according to your values, and to be consistent in your actions and words. Authenticity is not just about being true to others. It's about being true to yourself. It's about living a life that feels right to you, not one that simply looks right to others. So ask yourself today, are you living authentically? Are you being true to who you are, or are you hiding behind a mask? By being honest with yourself and committing to authenticity, you will not only gain the respect of those around you, but also lead a more fulfilling and meaningful life. As the Stoics taught us, the greatest victory is to conquer oneself, and that begins with living in alignment with who you truly are. As we wrap up today's discussion on the 9 attitudes that make people lose respect for you, it's important to remember that respect is earned through our actions, our words, and our attitudes. Each of these behaviors, whether it's arrogance, inconsistency, a lack of empathy, or not being authentic, can subtly undermine the way others see us, and more importantly, the way we see ourselves. But the good news is, by recognizing these attitudes and making conscious changes, we can build stronger, more respectful relationships both in our personal lives and in our professional endeavors. Living with integrity, responsibility, and authenticity is not just about gaining respect from others. It's about leading a life that aligns with our highest values and principles. If you found value in this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel, Stoic in Your Life. And make sure to turn on notifications so you never miss out on our upcoming videos, where we continue exploring how the timeless wisdom of Stoicism can guide us through modern life's challenges. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.